So it is show day, and today we are seeing English. Right before it closes. I think it closes in a couple days, like this weekend. So we're gonna go see it. Okay, so I am back from seeing English, and so I usually rate the shows that I see on 2 to 3 categories. If it's a musical, obviously there's music, the story, the plot, and then the set and the production. But today I saw a play, so I'm only going to talk about the set and the production. While I did like the musical elements of the show, it's not something I'm going to judge a play about, you know. Let's start with the set. So the set was basically just a classroom. It was a classroom that they go in and out of, new days come by. And it's basically a rotating box. They used the box to show the classroom, the outside of the classroom, and like a patio situation. And those were kind of the 3 different locations. So what I liked about that for this show was how everything really took place in this classroom, and that was very important, a very important plot line for one of the characters, that classroom existed as its own separate world for learning English and studying for the TOEFL test. So yeah, the overall for the set, but it was simple, and I understand why it was simple, because it didn't need much, it didn't need more, and like it was cute. I liked the way that the characters interacted with the set and like moved the chairs and drew on the board, and they drew a lot of different things on the board. And then also watching movies, and it was a very functional set. So I'm gonna give it like a 6.5 out of 10. Then for the story, I really, right now my intuition is telling me to give it a 7 out of 10. A 7 out of 10, because it was a really good story about how language shapes our identities and how much of a role it shaped. Oh, I'm ashy in my hand. I'm so sorry. I washed my hands at the theater and I didn't have my lotion with me, so that's why. So please ignore. Please ignore. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. Anyways, I will continue to talk with my hands though. It's a good story about how language shapes our identity and what it means to be an immigrant, to be honest. Like, it was very, the characters each had a reason for learning English, right? And to have like an ensemble cast, they have to have different reasons for doing the same thing. And their reasons started out as very simple, like, I want to move to this country, I need to pass this test to go to school, I want to talk to my kids in this language, in English. But then as the story developed, their situations became a little bit more nuanced, and especially towards the last half of the show, that's when I really started getting interested, because the beginning kind of moved, it didn't move slowly, but it moved a little awkwardly. Like, certain scenes were rushed to make a point. Like, they always ended on a statement that's like supposed to be poignant, but it didn't feel like, I couldn't see the jump of the beginning of the scene to the poignant statement. But towards the last half of the show, that's when I really started to see development within the characters, development within the dialogue that led to certain ideas and made me understand more why the character was saying those words. I'm trying to give it a spoiler-free review. That's usually what I do. Sometimes I do like to recap, but because there's like 5 different characters, I might actually recap. Anyways, all that's to say, I really did enjoy the story. I think the reason why I'm knocking off a couple points is just for the beginning part, where it just felt like I couldn't see where things were going to develop. It just kind of felt very flat at first. But I'm telling you, like, the end, especially the end, the characters do end up speaking in Farsi to each other, and it offers the audience the opportunity to understand the discomfort that the characters were feeling, because I'm not Iranian. I don't know Farsi. I don't know. I could not translate that. And so to be there, to be on the outside of the conversation that they were having, and to feel uncomfortable with like the fact that I may never know what was being said at the end is, you know, it's something to leave with. It's not fully indicative of what it means to be a non-native speaker of English, and knowing that English is like the universal language currently. So yeah, it was, I mean, overall, like, I would highly recommend people to see it, especially if you are like an avid language learner, are an immigrant, a child of an immigrant, and people who don't really know anything about what it means to be in the realm of an immigrant at all. So yeah, if usually when I rank something above like like 7 and above, I would recommend it. Okay, and then I think I will give a little bit of a recap. So it starts off with a teacher. There's a woman who had lived in Manchester, UK, for 9 years. And so she's back in Iran teaching English to help prepare 4 students for taking the TOEFL test. One of them, she is a 18-year-old girl. Honestly, her reasoning for learning English was not very clear to me. It just seemed like it was just something she wanted to do, and she wanted to travel, and she just really liked English. She just liked it, and she liked how she felt in it. The second person was a older woman, and she is a grandmother, and her son and daughter-in-law live in Canada, and the granddaughter also lives in Canada, and they only want the granddaughter to speak in English. So she's taking the English test to, you know, to become more fluent so that she can actually, to prepare herself to go live with her son and grandchild. The third person is a man who, he's pretty, like, he kind of knows English. He knows his thing. He has not a green card, but his cousins like live in America or something like that. And so he's like familiar, but he's not perfect at English, yet he is the best speaker within the class. Then the last person is she has studied for the MCAT. She's taken the MCAT. She's been accepted to medical school in Australia, but she has to pass the TOEFL test, and she's taken it 5 times and failed 5 times. So this is her not last, but she's given up hope with each chance. And this one, she's just like, I need to get this. Those are the characters. And the way that the relationship with the teacher evolves between each character, at the end of the show, it only comes down to one character that's still in the class, because the grandma realizes that her son, while she believed that she was going to go and live with her grandson, her son and granddaughter, apparently he had other plans. Her son had other plans and was under the assumption that she'd just be visiting. So when she realized that, she's like, this is such, like, learning English makes me grieve my own culture and the beauty of my own language. And so she just stops coming to class. Then the next person to stop coming to class is the man who's familiar with English, because guess what? He is American born. He has an American passport. He lived in America for about 13 years before moving back to Iran. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing correctly, Iran. And connecting back to what I said about the classroom being its own world, he felt like he was and this is something I personally relate to, he felt like he was always half. He could never be fully Iranian. He could never be fully American. But in the classroom, he could at least be from somewhere or nowhere. Like, he was just one singular thing. To all the people in the class, he was essentially American. I'm kind of butchering how he described it, but essentially he just didn't have the burden of not belonging somewhere. He felt like he belonged in that classroom because he could speak English And the teacher was kind of catching feelings for him too when he spoke English. And then when they spoke Farsi together for the first time, he was like, it feels like we're having a real conversation now. And I don't know if I like it. Isn't that wild? Anyways, and then Miss MCAT girl, she leaves because she has some contentions with the teacher. And to be fair, the teacher was making some she was playing favorites with the man. And I was like, what the heck? Like, why would you do that? So I get her. I understand her. She was very opinionated. She was very, like, she called things out. She had feelings. At the end, she ends up she passes the TOEFL test at like almost the highest score. And so her and the teacher have a conversation in Farsi about how when I speak Farsi, I hear myself, I hear my sister, I hear my chemistry teacher, I hear the things that have made me me. But in English, and she didn't say but she's like, and in English, even though I have my accent, I still hear me. And she asked the teacher, what do you hear? Because the teacher, Loki, has this obsession with English and prefers it. She prefers being called Mary instead of Marjan, like all this stuff. So, and then the 18-year-old girl she's the one who stayed, but she's the last person to make it all through all the classes. And she just simply really like took on the role of like what it looks like to learn a new language enthusiastically and to have hope, to not be burdened with the fact of what it means to give up something at your core, because to her, English wasn't about giving anything up. It was about gaining new perspectives, gaining the ability to express differently, to tap into something that she didn't have before. So it was a really good show to just explore what language, how important language is, something that we do and use every day, but we really don't pay attention to that much unless we're really like putting a microscope on it. That is my review of English. It is closing this literally tomorrow, so probably won't get to see it. But it's a really good show if you have the chance to maybe watch it at the New York Public Library, a recording of it at the New York Public Library, or read the script. I highly recommend. Yeah, it was a good show. And one thing I do want to say before I end this is the reason why it resonates with me so heavily is because I'm Ghanaian American. I was born here in the United States to Ghanaian parents. And I don't know Tree, and I can barely understand it. I grew up hearing it around me, but I was never spoken to in Tree, and I was never forced or encouraged to speak back in Tree. And so for that, I don't really know it, and it hurts a lot that I don't know it. And I'm not going to share my age, but since I was 17, I had told myself, I'm going to learn this language by 22. I'm going to learn this language by this. I'm going to learn this language by that. And I haven't. And my grandfather passed away recently. I'm actually leaving soon to go for his funeral. And when I found out that he'd passed away, I was like, wow, I never got the chance to really know him because I didn't learn his language, you know? And so something about while the show's inspired me to be like, okay, I need to be serious about learning Tree and really just understanding it, there's still some fear and some resistance to doing it. And I don't know if I'll actually do it, because really what it is that's keep preventing me is the feeling of being half, the feeling of never being fully able to be accepted by the people that should accept me, that I would hope to accept me. Anytime I've tried, anytime I, take on a new word, a new phrase, like something, I'm met with jokes, with laughs about my accent. And as much as I try to parade as a person with tough skin, I don't. It hurts me a lot. And I feel it right now in my body. The humiliation of it, of not knowing my mother tongue, of trying with an accent that just makes it sound funky and funny. And now that I'm an adult, it feels like it's just going to be, the jokes are just going to be worse. And I know that's putting the power in the hands of other people. Like, I should not let that stop me from doing what I know I need to do. But it's hard. It's hard to feel like I'm the only one supporting myself through wanting to learn this language that I'm doing to communicate with my community. And my community makes fun of me, or isn't supportive, or doesn't really care. And that isn't true for everyone that I've met. I think my parents go in and out. But language is a really, really powerful thing. It's a very powerful thing. I do want to know my language. So, with that being said, if anybody wants to be my true practice partner, please let me know. And please, if you ever get the chance to see English, go see it. It is a wonderful play about how what language and culture mean to each other, and how they intersect. All right, that's my review, and I'm sending you off with well wishes in whatever endeavors you have, and to do something nice for your community. Give back to your community. Give back to yourself too, is what I have to say. That's on my heart. All right, bye.